I'm thrilled for today's episode where Working Actors Talk, the SKS podcast, because I have the great Brock Ciarlelli with me.
I have the great Colleen Foy with me.
Thank you, Brock.
Hi.
Hi. Brock is a phenomenal actor, but also one of our teachers and coaches at SKS for years now. And one of the reasons we do this is because this is not a 2 + 2 = 4 business. There's no linear path, one right way to do this business. So by hearing everyone's stories of how things happened and what they've learned along the way, it allows everyone who's listening's mind to expand a little bit. Maybe that's the way it'll happen for me. Oh, I don't have to hit this milestone at this particular point. Things can be even better if it's delayed, whatever the scenario is. So I'm thrilled to talk about your journey.
Yay, thanks.
Yeah. I want to start with your bio just so everybody gets on board with what you are up
Okay,
to.
let's hear it.
Okay, great.
Okay, you tell me. What did I do?
Okay, well, you were born and raised in the suburbs of Denver.
Confirm.
Yes.
Okay.
After 10 years of musical theater in Colorado, you booked your first acting job in LA while still in high school.
Yeah.
Brock attended Chapman University, graduated with a BS in mathematics. And during this time in college, you worked professionally and interned for several titans of the industry, Greg Berlanti at Warner Brothers.
Oh, yes.
And then your holistic approach and thirst for comprehensive understanding of the industry has led you to create and pitch scripted and non-scripted series around the city. But you are most known for ABC's comedy The Middle, where you heavily recurred as Brad Botting.
There it is.
For all
Tongue twister.
seasons. Yes. And then in 2018, you were brought on as a series regular for The Middle's spin-off, Susu in the City. Recently, you were in the Universal tentpole rom-com Bros. Stole the scene.
Oh, that's sweet.
Stole the scene.
Thank you.
Here at LA, you starred in many theater productions, including the one-man comedy Fully Committed, and you played 37 different characters as the sole actor.
I was fully committed at that point.
Yes, you were so good in that. So good in that. And so good in everything. I've seen everything.
Oh, you're sweet.
Except for the pilot, Susu in the City.
Oh,
But
I should send it to you.
can you?
I can't.
Okay, great.
I'm not supposed to, but I can.
Okay, great. Amazing. Okay, how does hearing all of that feel?
It feels good. Yeah, it's just, I like, this feels very formal for us. I've known you for years. I have to tell you, we were supposed to do this on Friday. At one point it was scheduled on a Friday. And the moment I knew it was going to be Friday, I said, well, Kristen's going to be here. Colleen's going to be here. It's a Friday. It'll be around 3. I was going to bring us cocktails. Kristen just lit up. But now that it's Wednesday afternoon, I feel like we probably shouldn't.
It's a school night.
But know that I'm swirling like some like pre-made Cosmo.
I thought you were going to be swirling an espresso martini.
That would also be a good option.
Okay.
But anything past 3 p.m. with an espresso martini is dangerous.
Well, I remember when you first came to the studio,
Me too.
I recognized you because I love The Middle. I love The Middle. And as someone who is from Middle America,
Right.
the storylines were like taken from my family's history.
That's the thing that everyone keeps saying is that they're like, I feel like there's a camera inside my house.
Yeah.
Because the writer's room was filled with people from the Midwest. I don't think a single soul was from any of the coasts.
That's what made it so authentic.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the storylines, it's also the interior of the house, everything. And it just felt so comforting to watch. And also the writing was so funny, so sharp.
Yeah.
So you got that job while you were still in high school in Colorado.
Yeah. I was in high school and we were just talking off mic that I had started through a company called John Robert Powers, which I'm not sure if they still exist. I know the Denver branch has shut down, but they were essentially like TV and film acting classes that they would have like scattered around America. And so through that, I got represented because they would like fly in agents and managers to have the studio audition and whatever, do like a monologue in front of a manager. And that's how I got signed. But then eventually I moved out here for pilot season my sophomore year of high school. So mom and I moved out here for 4 months. We lived on Woodman Avenue, just right off the 101. Yeah. And that's when so the manager was like, let's get you an agent within the first week. Let's get you nice headshots. And then let's hit the ground running. My first audition was for Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the first one. It's the older brother. But then once, nothing happened during that pilot season, I got an agent and I got experience auditioning. But then, for junior and senior year of high school, I would fly back and forth from Colorado at the drop of a hat, because that's when auditions, you would find out on a Tuesday at 4 p.m. that your audition was at noon on a Wednesday. See you there. And so that's when I have the best parents in the entire world. Mom and dad were like, well, if we're going to do it, let's do it. And so mom and I would fly out on that Wednesday morning and go in for the audition and then fly home Wednesday night. I mean, I have the best parents. I mean, who on earth would let you do that? Priscilla and Craig. Yeah. But then eventually that was The Middle was one of those where it came in on a Tuesday night. Audition was on Wednesday. the callback. We had to stay. We had to go to Target. We had to get fresh underwear and toothpaste. I'm not even joking. We got a hotel room at the Best Western on Riverside that doesn't exist anymore. And then did the callback. And then for the callback, then the casting director was like, don't get on a plane. And so we were like, okay. And so we were just driving down Riverside, and 10 minutes later, we got the call that I had got in the middle. And so then they were like, stay for another night. The table reads on Friday. We'll see you at the table read. So we got another hotel at the Best Western, another night, some more underwear. And that's how it happened. And then I'd fly back and forth for table reads and actual filming of the middle for the last 2 years of high school.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
That is wild.
I mean, the older I get, the more I appreciate my family, because who on earth would do that, and who was able to like support me in that kind of way. But like, I feel very fortunate that I had parents that said, absolutely, like if this is, we believe in you and this is what you want to do, we're going to do everything within our power to make it happen. And the older I get, the more I appreciate it.
That's incredible. So was it originally a recurring role?
It was set for 2 episodes. So the original joke of it was Sue, who's like this nerdy, I think we were in 6th or 7th grade in the show. She gets her first boyfriend. Oh my God, she's so excited. Mike Heck, played by Neil Flynn, who's this like, he's truly 6'6", 6'7", this tall, intimidating, grounded presence, who's like, well, who's this guy she's going to be dating? And then in comes me with jazz hands and an ascot, and it's a gay boyfriend that the only people who doesn't know he's gay is Brad and Sue. That was supposed to be the Thanksgiving episode, which was my first episode, Thanksgiving episode of season 1, and then Christmas episode of season 1. We were breaking up because she found me behind the shed with another boy smoking. That was supposed to be the end. It felt really nice. I didn't know just how fortunate I was that then they kept writing episode after episode. Granted, now that I'm able to step back and I understand how the industry works, how amazing is that they kept bringing me back for more things. And then eventually my role turned not into just the gay boyfriend, ex-boyfriend joke. It was now, oh, now this is her friend. She had already had a friend, and they kind of then brought us both together. So she had 2 friends, and then the other person, they kind of phased her out a little bit. And I was mainly the person she would go to for certain sorts of things throughout the rest of the series.
Mm-hmm. So how many episodes did you do total?
56, I think, in total. Yeah. I mean, that's amazing.
I think it speaks to your talent and how you show up on set.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, that was one thing that like we were notorious for word perfect. Mm-hmm. If the word is can't, you say the word can't. It's not cannot. So that brought a level of show up, know your stuff, be word perfect, have choices ready to go, be able to be flexible if the director has something else in mind. But then also too, I think I just lucked out. Even Cher, who played Sue, I think we just in real life have great chemistry that fortunately we were able to have translate on screen, and the writing made it so that we could translate that on screen as well. It felt nice. I feel very lucky from where I landed, and I wanted to, take every opportunity that I had and run with it. Absolutely.
So this was your first time on TV, right?
Yeah, first job ever. I mean, when I walked in for the table read, I had no idea. That was the first time I'd been like on a soundstage. That was the first time I'd been amongst like Hollywood writers. It was all crazy, like to the point where on the first episode, I didn't know how long it took, and I didn't know who to ask of where we were in the day. I texted the costume designer, who was 20 feet away in the costume tent, like, when do you think they're going to get to me? And she's like, I'm not the person to ask. I don't know who to ask. It's a lot of learning on the fly in that first job, which is more than half the job. Is if you can stand on your mark, that is half the battle. And then knowing how television kind of operates and being able to keep up your energy during long days, that's another huge chunk of the battle. And then sprinkle in a little bit of comedy and you're set. Yeah. But like, it's crazy how much you learn that, especially with film and television, you need talent and you need to be funny or whatever, but you also need to understand how the game is played. And that's what also makes you good. It helps showcase your talent. Does that make sense?
Completely makes sense.
Yeah.
I love that. But when you say how the game is played, I feel like you and I speak the same language. But could you open that up a little bit for folks who may go, what game and how is it played?
I find my way through, and this kind of actually trickles into why I like SKS so much, why I connected with it. But like, I'm very much a right brain person. I'm very logistical. I like parameters to play within. And television, learning how to play the game, there's a very certain set in stone structure with television, at least with network television, is that, say for example, the middle, it's 3 acts, it's a comedy. The structure for every single episode, all 215 episodes, they are the same. And so you figure out where you live within that. Where are you part of the problem that arises in Act 1? Are you trying to solve it in Act 2? Are you part of the resolution? And then playing the game of where do you place things tonally? Then you're kind of able to color in once you know the parameters. That's why I like having the guidelines, and then I'm able to kind of then lay in my artistry, if you want to call it that. But like, I like having the parameters a lot. And I think that's the game, is like, I was able to pick up on, for this particular episode, for example, you are Sue's best friend. She has the problem. She's coming to you in 2 different scenes because she tried something. It failed. What do I do now? I tell her what to do next. And so she can go try something else and then fail again. But like, what's my function there? Or is it an episode where we do create the problem and the stakes do need to raise from Act 1 to Act 2 because we're throwing a party at, you know, Neil Flynn, Mike Heck's workplace? You know, that's the kind of game that I think I was able to pick up on rather quickly.
A lot of that sounds like script analysis.
Totally.
But I like how the game is played. I think that is maybe more accessible for people than script analysis.
Yeah.
You know, those words feel very charged, I think, for some people. But just sort of, for me, it's recognizing patterns.
Totally. And that's just how my brain works. I understand that maybe talking in that sort of way doesn't work for a lot of people because it strips the sexiness out of your artistry and your craft and what you went to college for in these acting classes. To me, it's the complete opposite. I love knowing what I need to do, and then how does my funny fit in to what needs to be done in the grand scheme of things. That's just how I operate the best.
Me too.
Yeah.
Cosign 100%.
And I think that's why when I joined the studio too, the reason why I stayed in Stan's Wednesday night class was because I liked Stan as my teacher, but then on that final Wednesday of every month, you know what I'm about to say? Exactly. He would go teach boot camp and you would come in and fill in as a substitute teacher. And I liked having both of you as my teacher because I connected with Stan. Obviously, I think a lot of us did, but I really, really connected to you because I do think you and I speak a lot of the same language.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the language that we speak has allowed us to be good coaches and successful actors.
Yeah.
Can I say successful actors?
Yeah, do it. Yes.
Because if you come out to LA with no connections or no doors open to you, you have to get your foot in the door. But first you got to like figure out if that door is locked and bolted from behind.
That's right.
You have to work at it. Figuring out for me the form to all of these things has made stepping into it so much easier. Rather than every time I get an audition, I'm going, where do I start?
Yeah.
I'm starting from scratch every single time.
And that's kind of also too, like, it's exactly what you said at the beginning, which is a lesson that I have learned. And sometimes I'll forget it tomorrow and have to reteach myself, is that there's no one right way to go about things. Brain self, sometimes I'm looking at like, well, what am I supposed to do? And the answer is, honey, there's no blueprint for that part of it. There's a blueprint for television, but like career navigation is not a straight line. And what works for me is going to be different than you, different than every other person in LA. And the sooner you learn that, the better off you're going to be. And that is something that I'm always working on, because I'm so desperate for some sort of structure or path forward and a list, but that's not the reality of it. And so that's where I find like my biggest struggle is knowing that there's no one right answer. And so you just have to kind of feel out scenarios, whether it's you're getting a new agent, how do I approach that? Or how do I prepare for this specific audition that I've never kind of had before? You just kind of have to take it at face value and know that there's no right answer. What feels the best right now in this moment?
Absolutely.
Everything from big and everything from small.
Okay. I have to take it back a second.
Yeah.
Because you booked this role while in high school and then you came out to Chapman.
Yeah, down in Orange County.
In Orange County for college. So you were a bit more local.
Yeah.
Were you auditioning for other projects while you were in college?
Yeah, not as often, I think, as we all say, as we would have liked. But yeah, having auditions here and there. And I think a lot of the things that I was finding was I hadn't gotten good at being a good actor outside of what that Brad character was. And so I knew how to do that really well. And so I was getting really nice auditions for things that were not like Brad, but I didn't have the tools yet to figure out what my version of that was going to be really strongly. I was trying to fit a square peg into a circle hole. So I was auditioning and I did a couple student films here and there, but it was mainly just the middle. And then after college, after the middle had ended, then realizing, okay, there's nothing on the docket. We got to make some recalibration adjustments. That's why I came to SKS. And that's when I was able to really kind of open up and realize, oh, this is how you play the game. You have a type. That doesn't necessarily mean that's only one particular character you can play. There's a certain sort of lane you can fit that will hit in many different genres. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so I learned that a little late in the game. Do I wish I was able to book things during the earlier times in the middle? Of course, but that's the hand I was dealt.
Right.
And that's okay.
And you don't know what you don't know until you know it.
Of course.
In its own timing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you learn that via class? Was it just trying different things every single week?
It was, honestly, which I loved about it, was being placed in a class here where, that's why I like what we do. We place people very intentionally in class. But I saw people who are not my exact double, but people who I'd see them and I go, oh, that feels like a role I could go in for. And seeing them work in class, a real audition they had, and what their specific version of it was, and critically thinking, if that wasn't the scene that I did for class, of like, how would I have done that? And really opening up of like, that's okay, because my version can be different than their version, and they're still both valid. So it was a lot of just being kind of boots on the ground in class and absorbing everything that helped me kind of understand what it means to have a type, but not be completely locked into a certain kind of character. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Because I think, and then also part of it too, is understanding who you are as a person is inevitably going to bleed into any kind of character you play. That's what makes it your own version. I'm a gay person. I sound gay. I am gay. Not that that's the only thing I can play, but you understand that there's a animation to how I speak. There's a certain sort of way I carry myself. And so what does that mean in terms like if I'm going in for a soapy drama? What does that mean if I'm going in for a big ensemble comedy? What part do I fit within that series?
Yeah, absolutely. I learned so much from watching my classmates.
I mean, even as a teacher too, I learned so much just from watching students as well.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
I always say it never gets old when I see multiple people do the same scene. And it's just mind-blowing how different it can be.
Absolutely.
And how genuine it can seem if people are really connected to this is their take.
Yeah.
This is who they are. This is how they're approaching this role.
That to me also, something I talk about with my students is like, that also helped me a ton. Coming here helped me fully, like, you can always say, you did great, but we just went a different direction. You get that feedback from casting and you're like, fuck you. No, I did something wrong. Just be honest. And you look at these people who do 3 different actors who do the same scene 3 times in a row, and they're all different and they're all good. It helps you kind of understand, oh, okay, what casting is saying is actually true. Because all 3 were great, and they're all different versions. And so that kind of helped me come to terms with what casting is saying is absolutely valid. And there is nothing wrong with what you put up. It's just, as Angela says, you weren't the flavor of ice cream they were looking for that day.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think once we can make peace with some of the feedback that we're given, which is that they went with a different way, once we can sort of make peace, I know what they're saying.
Totally.
I know what they're saying. They wanted mint chip because it had to fit in with this flavor. And I was already that flavor they were trying to fit it in with. They needed something juxtaposing. Once we make peace with that, it just makes the journey a lot more comfortable. I'm into making peace with things.
And then question, is mint chip your favorite ice cream?
No.
But that came to you first.
Angela says it. It's Angela.
Uh-huh.
She always says mint chip.
Oh, gosh.
No, I don't mind it. Honestly, I don't mind a mint chip. But it's chocolate peanut butter, baby.
Okay.
Why? What is your favorite?
Mint chip.
Oh, it is.
That's why I thought we were soul sisters.
No.
No, I guess not.
But I think we are.
We are, just not on
Not on the ice cream. But okay, cool. The middle had an amazing run, and then the spin-off pilot was Susu in the City that you were series regular for. How did all of that come about?
I knew it was happening. I didn't know I had been cast as a series regular right from the get-go. I would assume that if it went, I would be in some capacity. I didn't know kind of what they were feeling. And it was actually it was a funny story. Long story short, Eden's manager, who plays Sue, kind of played the game a little bit of like, she didn't really want to do it. The creators didn't really want to do it. They're like, it's a good idea. We're exhausted. Eden's like, do I want to play this character for another however many years? And so its manager went to the showrunners and was like, Eden is all in on doing it. And they were like, okay, well, if Eden's all in. And the manager said, the showrunners, they're all in on doing it. So what do you want to do? And that's how it came to be.
Wow.
But I had found out early summer that I was getting offered a series regular role, which felt so nice. I had no idea what was going to transpire in terms of what my function was going to be. I can only assume, but amazing. I mean, it felt like a dream come true, and it was another learning experience because it felt a little inevitable. I think everyone was really confident, and everyone was saying all the right things. The network was saying all the right things, but timing wise, the network, the week we needed to find out, had a complete shift in regime. And so the network, every decision maker, there was no one in office to say yes to the pilot. And it's at the end of the year. They didn't have enough money. We were off cycle. They wanted it done really fast. Let's go to Chicago. Maybe we'll shoot a couple of scenes. We'll kind of show you a little presentation and we can go from there. But they wanted the full pilot done. And so the showrunners are very honest with it. It feels a little frantic. It feels a little rushed. It feels a little underdeveloped. However, I will say, which I think is nice at the very, very end when Sue, like, her life is upside down. What is she going to do? Is she going to leave Chicago? Does she go back home? And then Brad shows up. My character shows up and doesn't save her, but does what he always does and say, like, listen, this is your choice. If you want to do this, then do this. If you want to do that, then do that. Whatever you choose is going to be fine. We have really nice funny moments that are some nice big and broad. We have some of our best non-funny dramatic work is in that section of the pilot. I mean, I'm proud of that aspect of it. Of course, I wish it would have gone, but that was one of those like, oh, everyone was saying that was for sure going to go. And then we found out the Wednesday before Thanksgiving that it wasn't going to go.
Oh my gosh. In this industry, if we're committed to doing this for a lifetime, there are going to be multiple disappointing times. How do you take care of yourself, like literally hour by hour, or sort of like, what is the vibe?
It took a little bit. Stan was actually the one who taught me about it, was my emotions in general, but especially when it comes to the industry. Highs are never too high, lows are never too low. You've got to, not that you can't feel things, but as opposed to this, they've got to be like this. For the spinoff, for example, when it didn't go, I was sad, I was disappointed, but the sooner that I realized, like, I knew this was always an option. This doesn't mean that it's going to be the end of my career. There are going to be other pilots that I book. There's going to be ones that go. And there's also going to be other pilots that I book that won't go. And that's just the nature of the game. Going in in the broadest of senses, I think is my emotions are pretty even keeled. And I try to translate that as much as I can to the industry, which is hard when you're passionate about it and you want it so bad. And you know that you deserve a spot in the industry because you have the talent to back it up. So it's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's ultimately something that has been a game changer for me, is just regulating the emotions. Not that you have to be neutral on everything, but celebrate the wins, but make sure that you're not going too high when there's going to be an inevitable crash coming down eventually down the road.
If a student or client comes to you and they are either really, really high or really, really low, let's say they book something and it's a sure thing it's going to happen, you don't want to sort of bring them down to earth, but would you have any advice for them in that particular moment?
Yeah, I would say, like, if someone's riding a really nice high, that's amazing. And I think ultimately, I never want to like drag someone down to reality. I only want to meet them at their level, because personally, I think as much as I can talk about it or try and guide someone, I think the best teacher for me was just to experience it, realizing like, oh, the big disappointment hurts so much that I can't let that happen again. And as much as you try to guide someone, you can tell them, and if someone's riding a really nice high, meet them and then, say, okay, so what's next? How are we going to use this? As opposed to just being like, thinking of it in terms of my mom, God bless her, her emotions are like this and everything. And so whenever I would have an audition, she would automatically go to okay, oh my God, what if you get to go to Toronto to film? How exciting, you'd be in all the episodes. Oh my gosh, how much money would you make? She automatically goes to booking it. And I think I've realized that's not always going to be the best for me. And so I use the mentality of like, okay, so I have this audition, what's going to be the next thing? As opposed to letting my mind escape into what if I book it? It's like, okay, I'm going to film that audition. I'm going to submit it. And then I have to prep for class. I'm really proud of that really good work that I did. I'm living on that high, but then moving on to the next thing. That's what I would say in a gentle way of guiding a student or a friend or something who's like on this really nice high, meeting them, not dragging them down. Be like, that is so fantastic. Oh my gosh, amazing. Okay, so what do you think you want to do with that footage? How, or whatever it's going to be. I think what's that going to be, that next step, that kind of like, okay, we're still working. And it doesn't drag them down of saying like, well, this is not going to happen again for another year. It's saying, what are we going to use that and bringing it back to the work? I think is a nice way to kind of level it out.
I love that. It also puts people, it's actionable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Rather than it airs and then it's done.
Totally.
Rash. How are we going to use the footage? Do you think there's any stills that you're going to want to put up on IMDb?
Totally. Because I think that's also something that I learned too, is it's not just the high of booking it. It's, oh my God, I had this amazing time on set. I did some really great work, and baby, half of it's on the fucking cutting room floor. And then that's a disappointment if like you do book the job and that's all on the floor, and that's okay. Be like, oh, damn it. Okay, that's okay. What's the stuff that did really sing on screen and how can I use that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Experience and be like, God damn it. I wish they had that joke because that was really fucking funny that we can use for like a reel, for example.
I love that.
Yeah.
Also, there was something you said about this project may not go, there will be this disappointment, but there is going to be another job. Even though this is a disappointing moment, there will be more. Yeah. Even if a lot of my work is on the cutting room floor, there will be more jobs. I think it speaks to an abundance mindset, which is great because only one person can book every single job. Only one, baby. Oftentimes, we're not going to book the job.
Totally.
But what's great is there will be more. Has that helped you make additional peace with the business?
Absolutely. And I think too is understanding there will be more, but also it doesn't have to have a hard stop at your auditions as well. Like what else can you do to help buoy you in a way that is tangible and actionable? So abundance doesn't necessarily mean, to me personally, of like, here's an audition, here's a job, here's an audition, here's an audition, here's the job. It means what other part of the industry can you also service that makes you happy, that aligns with your talents. That to me is where I find the abundance, because I think, the elephant in the room is that the abundance of auditions, it's getting a little bit thinner and thinner and thinner. And that's okay. That's the reality of it. I don't think we're going back all the way to where we were, but understanding that the abundance in terms of auditions might not completely be as fruitful as pre-pandemic, but knowing that the abundance is still there in some capacity, but you have to be willing to stretch yourself and try different avenues that you think you're good at, maybe you're bad at, and you have to make a pivot. But like knowing that there's other things that you can be doing also in this industry that align with your talents or your performance aspirations.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've done that so well and in multiple ways. You really sort of diversified your presence in the industry by both, of course, acting, but then writing, pitching, producing, and also your podcast, a rewatch of The Middle, which I know has done so well. And for fans of the show, they're so excited that you have it. How did that start, the podcast?
I sent a text message to Eden saying, I have something I want to send you. We had kept in touch. You know, she has 2 kids and we would communicate about her kids and personal stuff. But then after a while, I was like, there's looking at the industry and what was happening. There's all these rewatch podcasts. It's very saturated, but they do quite well. And so I sent a text to Eden being like, what do you think about maybe doing something like that? She goes, yes, absolutely. Let's do something like that. Because I think she was also clamoring for something to do in her life. She was a mom of 2-year-old twins at the time. And so something that could be easy and do all that sort of stuff. But then as we've done it, which was a huge learning curve, but realizing that what we like and appreciate, we love the podcast and we're going to continue it, but what can we do to work together again in some sort of capacity, which excites us, which very much excites us. And so it started out as like, let's do something because I think fans will like it and it'd be nice to see you every week and sort of, stuff like that. But now finding where I can find abundance in this industry, it's like, what's the good thing that we've started to create on mic that we can now translate to another medium?
I love that. I want to know more.
Ultimately, the thing that we're massaging through is what does a version of a project look like for us right now? And
I love that.
Yeah, we're in the process of that. And meetings are being set, which is nice. But it's ultimately like we've created something and what can we do so that this doesn't flatline here? Yeah. What can we do to build upon this? Because I think a lot of it, we have to start doing things on our own, and it's no exception for something like this.
Yeah. And then also you write and create series and pitch. Are you able to do all of these things simultaneously, or is it sort of like, here's the season for my writing and pitching and creating series?
Absolutely. There's, again, lessons that you can only really learn when it happens is like sometimes you bite off more than you can chew. Mm-hmm. And so what can you take on at this moment, and how does that balance with the need to make money versus the need to like focus on this to make it really good? There are certain seasons when things can come into play. Writing, for example, the mistake that I made this past time was I took another writing course that I was excited about, but it aligned when all the burners were cranked up on full, and I added another burner, and I was like, I'm throwing however many hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on this writing class down the drain because I'm not giving it the attention that I want to. And that was a hard lesson to learn. And now I know what I need to do in order to make sure that all things are serviceable, that I'm able to give the attention that I want to. Because otherwise you're not really learning anything if you're only kind of just like skirting through things.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And like, I think too, like the thing that I'll never stop doing, and I feel very fortunate, is you met him. He did an interview for you guys. Cameron, my partner, who is a producer, he is always really open about what's going on with his work, and he likes to tell me about things, and he, God bless him, will just appease me when I like ask him all these questions, because that also interests me. And what knowledge can I take from what he does on his side of the industry, and how does it fit into what I'm doing right now? If he ever takes a meeting from home, he'll take it in our guest room, and I say, can you not put in your AirPods, and can you close the door, and can I sit against the door, and can I listen? So I want to hear.
Yeah.
I want to hear like, okay, they're doing a notes call on some series that they're either developing or that they're in the pitch process for. What are the notes from the studio versus what are the notes from the network versus what are the creators' thoughts and opinions, and where does that align with what the vision is? And, figuring out like how the machine works. And there's only one way to like really understand it, is to just, again, kind of listen to it, which I feel very fortunate to have someone who does that and is so willing to like answer all my questions.
Absolutely. I'm sure it works both ways. He bounces things off you all the time. That's fantastic, Brock. I want to go in so many different ways with you. I want to open this up so many different ways. Like I said, I've seen all your work. Big fan over here.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
You play characters that are bold, have strong opinions, strong viewpoints. How do you know, or how do you regulate their viewpoint in my audition? I might be going too bold with it, or I'm actually have room to go a lot bolder, because I think it's sort of a spectrum, right?
Absolutely.
How do you sort of gauge that for yourself, or encourage others to gauge it for themselves?
First and foremost, it's research. For example, Glamorous and Dr. Odyssey, those shows hadn't aired yet when you audition for it. You have to do all your research you can. Okay, Ryan Murphy type shows, it's 911 on a cruise ship, say for Dr. Odyssey. Where do these things kind of live? And then ultimately, if you're going to play a character on that, where does that live for you personally? And so making the smartest decision, because the fact of the matter is, you don't always know. You can't always know, but you just have to go in with a really strong opinion and a really strong viewpoint and do the best that you can to match the kind of show that they're going to make. Sometimes you'll knock it out of the park, and sometimes it'll be a big miss. And I believe me, I've had the big misses, but I've also done enough and had great training here to where I'm able to pick up on the cues where I know the best place to calibrate myself. And that's knowing if you want to get super actory, we're knowing your instrument, of knowing what's a toned down version of myself, what's a really bold, broad choice of myself, and where's right in the center. And then depending on what character you're going in for, if I'm the funny best friend, I have a little bit more freedom to have the bolder options, at my beck and call. That's okay. Which is usually the kind of stuff that I go out for. And that's the stuff where I find that I enjoy the most, is being able to be the bigger, the funnier. I think that's just where my talents best suit me. And so knowing kind of where you live in the grand scheme of the show can also help inform those decisions as well.
I love that. I remember when we were working on your scenes for Glamorous, and it was Jeffrey and Jeffrey, and you really just took what was on the page and made it shine.
Thank you.
It felt like you just really knew what the heck you were doing with it, because you could, with your right brain, sort of analyze boop, boop, bop, boop.
That was exactly what I sound like.
You could sort of see the game that was being played,
yeah,
and understand how to show up with that. Even though the show has not been on the air yet, you could see what was there.
Yeah. Dance. Can I ask you the same thing? How do you calibrate with like, if you're going to go bigger or smaller, or where you kind of fit in with your character choices? What do you do?
Oof, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of TV, and I think that has allowed me to sort of match what I get with sort of what I've seen. It's almost like I get the audition, I'm almost going through a Rolodex. If it's something like The Rookie, of course I've seen it. If it's something like Station 19, of course I've seen it.
You were in it and you were fabulous, by the way. Yeah.
Wasn't I? Yeah. But I auditioned not for Station 19, but for Shondaland roles, I think maybe 15 or 16 times before I booked. What I would do is I just made it my mission to be in Shondaland. I literally had it on a whiteboard for so long. I wrote Shondaland that when I finally booked it and could wipe it off, it wouldn't wipe off because it had been there for so long. But that had really been my focus. So I watched all the shows,
right,
and I listened to Shonda Rhimes' book on tape, because how she speaks is how she writes, is how her characters speak.
Totally.
So I just listened to it, finished the book, listen to it again,
Yeah.
to have it sort of ingrained in me.
It's studying up. I think that's so much of what the thing that we can all do. We talk about like having the ball in your court. What can you do? Because so much is out of our control. The thing you can do is your research and knowing what kind of stuff either you're going to go in for and watching all those things you might not go in for, watching all those things, just downloading as much information as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing with The Rookie. I had auditioned for The Rookie Feds maybe 9 times.
Oh, is that it?
An easy 9 times. I booked it in January, and like the first class back, I said, it's so weird that I said this aloud, but I said the next show I book is going to be The Rookie, so I'm going to be watching episodes this weekend.
Honey.
I had just sort of, I mean, it's not even like market research. I had just like the odds were in my favor to have auditions for that.
Yeah.
And the more that I'm watching these shows, I'm hearing the tone of what they're doing. I'm hearing the rhythm. I'm hearing the pace of what they're doing. It allows me to show up sort of in sync. So I'm not too big, not too little. Yeah.
Do you watch Masterclass at all?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you watch this Shonda? Of course. Okay. Yeah, just making sure.
I just love her.
That's probably a dumb question. You've probably seen everything she's done.
I've seen everything you've done. Shonda and Brock.
Oh my gosh, I'm honored.
So now, you used to show up on set to the middle. You'd fly in from Colorado. You were learning so much. How do you show up on set differently these days? Like when you show up to Ryan Murphy's set for Dr. Odyssey, how do you show up?
A lot of it is figuring out, it's one, meeting yourself where you are. So for example, when we talked about Glamorous and Dr. Odyssey, I'll use those two as an example. Dr. Odyssey was in a time in my life, it was last fall, where, that was talking about like, I had all the burners on, and then adding another burner that was the job was like, whew, okay, that's a lot to do. But obviously that's the thing that's paying me. That's the job. That's the dream. And so how I entered that was, I'm so grateful to be there. I'm happy to be there. But also I walked in with just something that I hadn't done before, was like, this is a job. It's fun to get painted bright yellow and do makeup tests and have, work for 7 days, but it's a job. And so I had stripped, again, keeping it kind of level. That was the first time I had like, oh, okay, I wonder what my trailer's going to look like. It's going to be so fun to chit chat and kiki with hair and makeup and the guest stars and the series regulars. And I had components of that, but I also knew that I had to do this and this and this and this. So sometimes I had to sacrifice a little bit of like the fun lunch hour to like go back in the trailer, eat and do a little bit of work and view it more a little bit as a job. And frankly, not that I think this is the key to good work, but I think it honestly made my work a little bit better, was not having the adrenaline of like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting, but a little bit of like, again, that even keeledness and resting on the preparation I had done and knowing that the moment they yelled action, I was going to be able to turn on, and the moment they turned off, I knew I was prepared enough to where I didn't need to go over the lines again. I could go do work and come back and treat it a little bit like a quote unquote job, where Glamorous, for example, was super fun. That was a 1-episode thing. We were in Toronto. It was with 7 different gay men. We went to a house in Fire Island, I think it was. But essentially, I didn't really have a lot to do outside of the job. And so I was able to converse with the different guest stars and the series regulars and have a lot of fun. And on the days off, we get to hang out together and really like using that excitement. And I thought that helps my performance as well. So it's, I think, a little bit meeting myself where I am at that moment and entering the job that way. Does that make sense?
I love that.
Yeah.
So very much.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're going to be, I know when you speak about like your burners are all full, for you it was producing a podcast and also writing and also acting and also maybe teaching, coaching.
Totally.
Everything's going on. But there's going to be times where you are on set and the other burners are the project that you are starring in next wants to do a table read. So you're prepping for that while you're also on camera. And also, I'm putting this out there, but let's say Susu in the City gets rebooted.
Sure.
And you're also doing that, but you're meeting with Warner Brothers and talking to them in that particular capacity. Eventually, it's going to be completely you acting and you producing and you writing, not just job stuff.
Right.
So learning to meet yourself where you're at, I think just really allows a lot of acceptance, radical acceptance. I am working like crazy right now. I'm gonna let myself be that.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm just gonna like hang out with everybody.
Yeah.
Yes. And it doesn't have to be one thing. I heard it said that any discomfort we have is brought on by the distance between our expectation and reality. When we have an expectation and reality is not the same thing, that allows for discomfort and pain. But if we are not rigid with the expectation, whatever the reality is can be accepted.
Yeah. And I think also too, part of it is knowing that when you show up to a job, if your energy is a little bit lower or you've got a lot on your mind, resting again on your preparation on what's that thing you did in the audition that booked you that part. Because believe you me, there were times when, say for the middle, for example, when I hadn't learned this yet, I was super excited to be there. I got to, ditch some godforsaken math final. I was so excited to be there and I wasn't able to calibrate my energy properly. And they were like, whoa, baby, pull it back. There was a table read where, honey, I was throwing everything in the kitchen sink and doing it. And they were like, okay, so when we film, we're gonna pull that back a little bit. And it's like, got it. So understanding that if you need to like turn on or, okay, come back down to earth for the cameras, understanding that about yourself as well is imperative, at least for someone like me.
I'm so proud of you, Brock, and the career that you've created and what you're able to do teaching and coaching and passing on all of your wisdom to other folks. What would you right now wish that you could go back and tell younger Brock? What would you have him do? What would you have him know?
I think I would tell him to be a little bit more proactive in the beginning. I think I was someone who had the mentality of waiting for things to happen to me. And I think I stayed in that longer than I should have to kind of wait for the phone to ring. And so ultimately the thing that I've learned, and I'm so excited that I've added to my Rolodex of things I'm able to do, is be a little bit more proactive. I wish I could go and tell that to my younger self, but that's not something that keeps me up at night. It happened to me when it was supposed to happen to me, and that's okay. Again, I think that's also part of the even-keeledness, that if I go back and think about that all the time, this industry is going to kick my ass and I'm going to be done tomorrow. But knowing like, I wish I would have been a little bit more proactive earlier, but what can I do now? I can be proactive now and take that at face value.
I love that.
How about you? Does anyone ever like lobby back to you and ask you these questions?
No.
Well, I'm going to ask you.
Hello. I think I would encourage myself to just invest more time in the mental, emotional, psychological part of being okay with being seen. Because I think for a lot of it, I just played so small, but not because like I don't like myself, but because playing small was a virtue in how I was raised. Don't think too big of yourself. Stay humble.
Right.
And I feel like there's relationships that I could have fostered if I had been a little more extroverted, but I used to love being like a really well-kept secret. Like I loved showing up to an acting class and then I would, oh my gosh, this is so crazy to say, but I loved getting to an acting class and sort of like not taking up much space. And then I'd get up there and do my thing and people would be like,
hello, where has this girl been?
I remember going to an audition for a casting director workshop place. And the guy, after I did my scene, the guy was like, okay, when I saw you out there, I was like, oh, this poor girl, she probably has no clue. And I was like, thank you so much. Because, like, people really underestimate me. But I think a lot of people's first impression is this poor girl.
Right.
I kind of loved that because I loved surprising people.
Yeah.
But I don't think I gave myself the opportunity to actually be one of the things that people thought about because they were so busy sort of dismissing me. I like to dismiss it. Oh, dismiss me? I'm going to wow you with my acting.
Yeah.
I would just focus a lot more time. I mean, I was so business oriented. I'm going to send out my headshots and resumes. I'm going to take the meetings. I'm going to do the workshops. I'm going to get the roles on my own before I even get an agent and manager. Once I get the roles, I'm going to submit again. And I really wish I had taken time to nurture myself and showing up. I learned a lot from the actors I've worked with. I call it the number one on the call sheet energy, where if I'm ever feeling like, oh gosh, I'm going into this thing, I'm feeling nervous, babe, I channel Jana Lee Ortiz from Station 19. I just bring her energy to it because she does not have a big head, is not conceited, very humble, but very much knows her value.
Totally.
And she delivers.
Yeah.
So I sort of channel that kind of energy.
Love that.
So I end every podcast the same by asking my guest the 10 questions that James Lipton would ask at the end of Inside the Actor's Studio.
And it's so funny. Every time I'm on a podcast, I ask the interviewer the same questions back. So I hope you're ready to answer as well.
Oh yeah, I'm sweating now. Okay, Brock Ciarlelli, what is your favorite word?
It's a genre of word. I like to use, and you just even used it a couple minutes ago, they're little pet names that I think are a little bit of my superpower in building camaraderie right away, right off the bat. Babe, sweetie. Even when I wrote out to you earlier today, I was like, love bug, can I get you anything before that? And I think to me, I like those fun pet name words because it feels like a little bit of an instant connection. Like we're buddies. We can connect a little bit. It doesn't have to be so formal.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah. Like even when I'm teaching class, I don't even think about it, but I go, that was really good, babe. Good. Or there's just there's a certain sort of word that I throw in there that I think makes them a little bit at ease and that we can look at each other on an equal playing field. Does that make sense?
100%.
I do that with friends. I do that with students. I do that with clients that I'm coaching.
Yeah.
All the things.
I think when I hear those things, it feels genuine Brock.
Thanks.
Genuine Brock.
Yeah.
Exactly the way two familiar people would talk to each other.
Thanks, babe.
You're some babe.
Okay, so
Love bug.
what's your favorite word?
Synchronicity.
Oh. Can I get the Merriam-Webster's definition?
Okay, one sec. Wait. Can I look it up?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Synchronicity. It's the act of syncing of some type.
Ooh, the act of syncing of something. I like that. Okay, so this is what Google says.
Okay, yeah.
Synchronicity, as defined by Carl Jung, is a phenomenon where two
Always loved Carl Jung. Go on.
We stand an icon. It's a phenomenon where two or more events coincide in time and appear meaningfully related, yet are not connected by any apparent causal link. These coincidences, while seemingly random, can be interpreted as having a deeper significance beyond mere chance.
Ooh, love that.
I love that. Brock, what is your least favorite word?
Jerk.
Oh.
I don't like it. And it has nothing to do with I don't like people who are jerks. I just don't like the word jerk. He's being a jerk. It sends me into a bad space. How about you?
I don't like the word bitch.
Sure.
Because I feel like it's so dismissive.
Yeah.
Is she a bitch? Or does she live in a patriarchal, capitalist, colonial society?
Then you shouldn't come to one of my berries classes because sometimes when I'm trying to motivate people to run on a treadmill, I go, I need you to look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm that bitch. But so don't come to one of my classes. Sure, there it is.
Yeah. Yes. Moving towards reclaiming it. But I just she's a bitch. She's just going to be a
Oh, no, I don't like it in that term.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Yeah. What turns you on? Creatively, intellectually?
I like people who are passionate. So whether it's about rocks or if it's about acting or it's about something, passion towards something and being able to speak with it in a certain way that I can see that it kind of lights you up, I'm attracted to that. How about you?
I love that. I am turned on emotionally, creatively by genuineness. And what that means is when someone is speaking to me like this, and then they start their scene and they're speaking like this. They act the same with me as they act with the barista, as they act with their roommate.
Yeah.
They're not faking something. I need to work on that myself just because I can sort of shift to match people's energy. I feel like I'm always shifting to match energies.
Sure.
And there are times where I'm I am so sort of spun around by all of that. So I love when people are the same with everyone.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
What turns you off?
Arrogance.
Ooh.
Yeah. I like confidence. There's a fine line. Confidence, yes. Arrogance, hard no. How about you?
Rudeness, especially to people.
So it's not good when I do this and we do the interview like that.
Rude.
Yeah.
Stephanie Chan would say, how rude.
But yeah, exactly.
When people, especially to servers or anyone in sort of a service industry.
One of my favorite podcasters, he always says, you can tell everything you need to know about a person with how they treat a waiter. And I think that is the truest statement ever.
1,000,000%. Yeah.
He goes, if someone is if I'm on a date and they're rude to the waiter, he goes, there will not be another date. Yeah. So I love that. I completely agree.
Also, same. If I were on a date with someone and they were rude, no.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Have you ever been a server?
No.
Okay. As someone who has been a server for years, it is so hard to eat out with people who have not been servers.
Sure.
Oh my gosh. I'm just the whole time I'm don't ask them that. They're not in charge of that. This is their section. We can't move. All sorts of stuff.
Yeah, it's the idea of understanding of we can't just sit here for 30 minutes when we're not eating or ordering anything and they've got a wait list because they're trying to turn over this table. They're trying to make the money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
100%. Yeah. You get it.
Yeah.
We are so sisters. Anyway, what sound or noise do you love?
Can I get a little sappy?
Get it.
Cameron's keys entering the deadbolt when he comes home. It kind of ooh, it gets me excited. I feel like a dog, so excited. It's coming home.
It's got you right where he wants you.
Yeah, exactly. That's been his plan all along. But yeah, I think the noise of Cameron coming home, it always gets me excited. I like that noise.
I love that. For me, it's a cat's purr.
Are you a cat person?
I'm a cat person.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we can move. We can. Listen. Okay. What's the next one?
Oh my God.
Okay, now riddle me this. His cat had its ass in my face all through tribal council.
No.
Why would Lucy Drew do that to me?
Lucy Drew?
Lucy Drew, that cat. They loved the ass in the face.
Oh no.
So it's okay. I'll meet you where you are, but just know that that's where I'm coming from.
No ass in the face.
That's right.
Fair enough. Okay, what sound or noise do you hate?
Like a blood curdling scream.
Mm.
I hate it. I hate it. And it's weird. It's not something from like a movie or anything like that, but it's like in real life when I just hear some sort of like screaming, like on the street, for example, if I hear two people fighting, oh my gosh, it kind of sends me into a tense state.
Wow.
Yeah.
I understand why. Yeah, absolutely. I hate a lot of sounds.
Sure.
I am very sound sensitive.
Okay.
So I hate the blender.
Oh.
I hate the microwave. I hate doors opening. Sometimes, like, I will leave cabinets not fully closed, and my boyfriend will say, what's going on here? Do we have a ghost? And I'm like, I just hate the sound of it closing. I'm very sound sensitive.
So your kitchen is all filled with half open cabinets.
Not all. If I haven't opened it, it won't be open. Yes, but I don't. Oh, but what I really hate is a scream sneeze.
Oh,
You know,
sure.
it's a dad sneeze.
That's a performative.
Scream
Yeah.
sneeze. It's always just like, must you?
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, what is your favorite curse word?
Does everyone say it? Fuck, I think is my favorite. I use it all the time. I use it all the time, much to my parents' dismay, but I use it all the time.
I love the word fuck. It's my
Okay,
favorite.
okay.
Favorite. All its iterations, right?
Totally.
Fuck.
Yeah.
You know, all the fucks.
Yeah, fuck that fucking shit. Yeah.
Fuck that fucking shit. You fucker. Okay, what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I didn't think of this one. If it's not acting, it's probably something that is in the producing sphere. Like if I had to make a full hard pivot where like we're closing a chapter on acting, I think my next thing I would be is like I would try in some sort of capacity, I don't know what it would look like, but like producing of some type. I think that has the, like we were talking about, the lines that I have to color inside of. There's a certain right brainness to it, but there's also a certain left brainness to it as well. So I think I'd give that a full hearty try if acting were ever to come to close.
You would be so good at that. Well, if I were to step outside of the entertainment industry.
Oh, in general, okay.
Is that okay if I
Yeah,
answer that?
please,
Okay.
please. That's a more interesting answer.
Well, there's a wolf sanctuary in Los Angeles, and they provide care for wolves that have been rescued from all over the country.
Yeah.
And they also pair them with at-risk youth and veterans. And they facilitate a lot of healing and a lot of growth and a lot of learning. And I think I would really love that.
You would be good at that.
Yeah.
And here I thought all you had was a wolf shirt, and that's where your love of wolves ended. I've seen that wolf shirt a handful of times.
No. No, that's not where it ends. I just love wolves. It's called Wolf Connection.
Okay. It's here in LA?
Yeah, it is. It's in the mountains.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to have like you have to white knuckle. You're on a drive through the mountains, and you're like,
Right.
there's 20 fucking wolves here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, what profession would you not like to do?
Anything with sticky children. I feel like in elementary school. I like kids, but I like them in small doses. Give me 5 days with my nieces and my nephew. Amazing. You put me as a teacher or something like that, I don't think I could do it for small kids. That would be a hard stop, I think.
And they're all sticky, aren't they?
They're all sticky. I just went to Lilo and Stitch on Monday, and we went at 9 a.m. thinking I was going to escape all the children. They'd go at noon. No, there were so many children, and they were, I mean, the way they were, I could tell they were sticky.
What I would not like to do is be a boom operator. Baby,
You got the arms for it, though.
I don't wanna.
Yeah.
Like I cannot imagine holding my arms over my head for an extended period. Okay, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You look good.
I love it.
How about you?
It made a difference.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that. We went for two very different directions.
What I would really love to say is it made a difference, and you look good.
Oh, there you there. A one punch.
Yeah, 100%. Brock, it's been an absolute delight.
It's been a delight. I want you to know, too, while we're still recording, I want this to be on record, that you truly, Colleen, I mean this with every fiber of my being, have changed so many of my life dramatically. There's a reason that I have done all the things that you've listed at the beginning of this. I need you to know that it's because of a lot of what you have done for me and Stan. But like, to me, there's like, I felt it immediately. There's this connection that you and I have from us as human beings, but from how we approach different things, our artistry, our acting, our this sort of stuff. I want it to be on record that a lot of that is because of you. And I hope you know that.
That means a lot.
I adore you.
Genuinely, Brock, that means the world to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you.
Okay.
That was so fun.
That was great.
Thank you.